Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the folder. I'm your host, Ruben. It's been a little bit since I've done a an episode. I think this is number 4 now. I know last time we were talking a little bit about forgiveness and stuff like that. So now we come to the the episode of Generation X. Oh man, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good. So Generation X, man, what can I say? The one thing I can say is that I am part of Generation X, and I think it's the best generation in the world. But that's just my opinion. I think a lot of people will agree with me, and some people won't. And that's your opinion. That's your choice of whether you do that or not. But the one thing that I can say about Generation X, and the thing that really comes to my mind right now, is gone are the days of Saturday morning cartoons. God, I remember when I was a kid and it was Saturday morning, I would get up so early just to watch these cartoons like Bugs Bunny, um, He Man, Transformers, and things like that for little girls. It was like the Care Bears, the Strawberry Shortcake thing, and like all kinds of stuff like that. And it was really cool because that's what we look forward to. And it's amazing because all week long we would go to school or even in the summertime. But when Saturday morning came, that was one of the things that that we really wanted to do was just spend time watching Saturday morning cartoons. It was awesome. Um, Gone are the days of riding your bikes for hours and hours and hours, walking for hours and hours and hours, going outside and playing, from sun up to sundown, going inside just to get a drink of water or eat lunch and then just go back outside. Our punishment was going inside the house. Now these days, it's your punishment is basically going outside of the house. And I love that day because I remember me and my brother. Um, he's like 3 years younger than me. I was born in '76 and he was born in '79. And I remember we would play outside for hours. We would go walking in the woods together and we'd be lost for hours. I mean, hours just out there talking and having a good time, being little savages out there and things like that. It's all about survivability, and I don't know what parents used to think. And it was a time where, you could leave your doors unlocked. You would, it was just a different time. There was no cell phones or like not when I was growing up. We had no cell phones. We barely had a landline. There was no internet. There was no anything like that. And the times were so great because you actually got to spend a lot of time one on one with somebody actually talking, playing, uh, and a lot of stuff like that. Nowadays, you just don't get that. All the kids are stuck in their phones and stuff like that. And I'm telling I tell kids, I tell my kids, one day there's gonna come a day where the internet's going to crash, everything's going to crash, and you're going to be left without your phone, and you're not going to know what to do. You won't even know how to get to point A from to point B from point A because you're just stuck in your phone. You don't know which way to go. You rely on GPS too much, and so and as my generation is growing up, we were relying on that stuff too because all we had was we pulled out them big old maps. I don't know if all of you remember. You get lost, and you would either have to stop at a gas station that would sell that city's map, or you would have to or you would driving around with this big old atlas, especially if you were driving in Texas and stuff like that. I still got a map. Sometimes I pull it out and just mess with it and try to, oh yeah, I know where I'm at now. But it's all about GPS. It's all about the phone now. But we were survivors when we were kids. We would go out there and I was talking to my brother the other day, and it's like I remember growing up, and we would actually go out there and ride bikes, and we would make ramps and see how high and how far we could jump. By putting a piece of plyboard over some bricks, and then we just start stacking up the bricks or rocks or whatever we could make just to jump that. You'd fall, you get up, shake it off, get back on it, and do it again. Nowadays it's like you can't even bump into the door because kids are crying and stuff like that. We had thick skins. We had. It's just a different time now. And it makes me laugh sometimes because I see the way my childhood was, and I see the way my kids are, or my nieces and nephews, or even just this generation now, which is, by the way, it's called Generation Alpha. And I always laugh when I say that because alpha of what? Like really alpha of what? Alpha of being oversensitive. That's what I say. I don't know. People can agree with me or disagree with me, but I that's the way I see it. You know, I remember being out there as a kid, helping my dad make a garden, big garden. Be out there tilling dirt with him. I would get the hoe and start dragging dirt. We would be tying strings, doing all that stuff. We go out there and kill chickens. Me and my cousins, we would do all that stuff. It was an introduction to a lot of things during during our generation with Generation X. We had a lot of introductions to a lot of different things. We had introductions of gosh dog, like man, hip hop came into play really hard. It's we had grunge, we got grunge, we got all kinds of things, and it's great because we got to experience a lot of things. We got to experience so many things. High school was awesome. Um, all these gosh dog Atari. Oh my gosh, who remembers Atari? I still have two of them bad boys. And my favorite, I'm gonna tell you flat out favorite, my favorite Atari game was Asteroids. And I could still get on that thing and I could still jam out to it. And I will beat you. My favorite game. Or Joust. Who remembers Joust? I used to walk to this store called Peterson's out in Belton, Texas. And I used to walk with one of my cousins. And I was just a little kid. He's about maybe 10 years older than me, maybe a little bit older. And I would walk with him because it was only like a couple of blocks down. And we would go over there and he would give me a couple of quarters. And I remember playing those big old arcade machines. Even that, oh my God, man, them arcade machines, I'd get on Joust, I'd get on Asteroids, and I would have a blast. I would drink a cold bottle of Big Red, put it back in that little thing, and get 5 cents for it, 10 cents for it. You know, um, it was just a different time, a very different time that we grew up in. Something that we could actually survive. Things like that. I remember the first time I listened to uh to rap music. I was staying the night with one of my cousins. I was introduced to Two Live Crew. Oh man, we got in so much trouble, but that's a different story. But it was that. Oh man, Debbie Gibson was on everybody's like wall and stuff like that because everybody was in love with Debbie Gibson. And it was Michael Jackson craze was going. Oh man, it was just so many things that just developed us, to be the adults. Our parents were strict. And I'm speaking about coming from a Hispanic, family. They were strict, because my parents were raised like in the '60s and '70s, and they were always working somewhere. They were always moving all over the place as kids. So they had this really strict, uh, I guess, way of raising us, because they raised us to almost mimic them and be like them, as far as like you're gonna be able to survive. If you work hard, you'll be able to make it. It's one thing my dad would always tell me. My uncles, um, on both my mom's side and my dad's side, if you work, you're gonna make it. You know, um, they taught us how to be self sufficient. Even as little kids, you were self sufficient. You knew how to go to the fridge, make a sandwich by yourself, get your water, pop open your little bottles of soda, or whatever the case may be. You were taught to be self sufficient. If you were thirsty, man, there was no going inside, because once you were inside, you would get in trouble for going inside, and you would just stay inside. So, like, everybody knows, like, we gotta go outside and turn on the outside faucet and drink out of the water hose. Nothing wrong with it. You get a little taste of the water hose, but that's it. Nice and cool. And you would drink until your little heart desired, because you didn't want to go inside. That was the least thing that we wanted to do, is go inside. And it was pretty awesome. I had, we all have different things that we go through, like in childhoods and stuff like that, through our childhood. But one of the things is, like, I really enjoyed my childhood, was that I got to learn a lot of things. I got to experience a lot of things. And of course, like I said, me and my brother were just 3 years, like 3 years apart. So I would take it with me to the woods. We shot. You would go around. Everybody had a BB gun. All the boys had a BB gun. All the girls had like the little bikes and the little dolls that they would carry, um, the little kid's sister and my buddy things. The little, Raggedy Ann and Andy. Oh man, I almost forgot about that. I remember my cousins, some of my girl cousins. They had all these little dolls and everything. They had a bunch of Barbies. Oh, it was it was something else. Everybody, like, all the cousins would go spend the night at all these cousins' house, and I don't know if that's the way it is with everybody else, but I know that's the way it was with us, because we had a big family, and there was a lot of cousins that were the same age. So we all grew up together. We went through the same things. We experienced a lot of the same things. But one thing that I could say is that we were close. We all went to school together. There was a bunch of us that went to school together. So even in the school, it was well, for us it was pretty safe, because I think there was like something like maybe 10 or 11 of us that were in the same school. So, and we lived in a small town. We live in a small town. It's not big. I mean, it's growing, but it's not a big town. It's a small town. But I remember all of that stuff, going and spending the night. They would go spend the night at my house. I would go spend the night at their house. We played video games. We would play. I remember one of my uncles. He bought one of them huge laser disc things. Like, things look like LPs. And we stuck that thing in, and I can't even remember what movie we were watching. But I mean, they didn't last long. I still remember going into, like, we still had like 8 tracks. We still had 8 tracks. I had this big stereo. It was my mom's, and I remember there was a record player on it. There was an 8 track player, and there was just a regular tuner. It had little 8-inch subwoofers in there, and I remember we would keep all kinds of albums in there. I remember my dad having a bunch of albums. Like, he had a bunch of Kiss albums. He had a Prince. He had the Culture Club. He had Lisa and the Cult Jam. He had a lot of these things, and then a lot of the music was really awesome, because it just set a tone to, like, different things. It was like a new set of everything. We got alternative, we got pop, we had R&B, we had all these crazy nuts to come up, as far as on the entertainment side. And then the movies. Oh man, the movies were really awesome. I talked to one of my sisters a lot, and it's like, she's a little bit older than me, and it's like we're stuck in the '80s, like big time, like talking big time. And we start talking about '80s stuff, and we start laughing, because I start throwing up, of course. And now, I got to use my phone, because I got to get into to the modern time thing. So I use my phone a lot. So I'm sending her things that with max headroom on it. I'm sending her like Teen Wolf stuff. She's sending me like Pretty in Pink. She's sending me a lot of like Molly Ringwald stuff. I sent her like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, 3 o'clock High, like all these kind of different movies and stuff like that. And it was just a different time. It was a different era, and I rather enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Even as a little kid. And then growing up into the '90s, man, we had there was just so much more stuff to go there. I remember we were, when out here in this part of Texas, we had everybody wanted to have, your little lowrider cars, your muscle cars and stuff like that. So me and my best friend, he had a really nice old Chevy pickup. I had a 78 Cutlass Supreme, and we would just go up and down burning tires. We'd be racing, and we were kids. I mean, we were like 16 years old, 15, 16 years old, and we were driving already. That's another thing. Like we wouldn't care. Our parents wouldn't care. I remember I was 12 years old. I was driving. I was driving everywhere, acting like I was all grown instead of just 12 years old. And now I look at my son. My son's 13, and I look at him. I'm like, man, boy, get the heck out of here. You're not driving nothing. Like you need to drive yourself back inside the house and do your homework. That's what you need to do. But it was, like I said, it was crazy times back in the day, and we were taught to survive, and we can. You don't hear, like, I don't hear my generation complaining about anything. I mean, yeah, everybody's gonna complain about something, but I don't ever really hear like, oh, I don't want to work. Oh, I don't want to do this, or I want to do it. No, like you're gonna get up and you're gonna go to work. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. You're gonna make it happen for yourself. You're gonna make it happen for your family. You're gonna make it happen for whoever you're with. And that's what I like about my generation, that we will not quit. We don't shut down. We don't go down. We always try to look ahead. We not only did we not have a lot of the things that are out today, but we had to learn how to do a lot of things. We had to learn new things. We had to learn how to operate computers. We had to learn how to use the cell phones. We had to learn how to type up all this stuff. 'Cause I remember taking typing in school, typing like just regular with a actual typewriter. Now it's like these kids, they go to all these classes. Now they can, like, they're, I guess, doing gaming with two hands. It looks like two little keyboard cut in half, and I'm like, I don't even know how they do that. But and a lot of people my age, they love to play. They're into all these games and stuff like that. So they had to learn. So we had to adjust. We had to, like, adapt to a lot of things, and we did it. So what that tells me is that if we can live the way that we used to live back in the day when I was a kid, and we can adapt to everything, we're in total survival mode. Like we can go through anything. We've been through droughts. We've been through different kind of you know world catastrophes. We've been through all these historical events and stuff like that, and yet we still have that push to keep going and keep going and keep going, and we don't falter and we don't fall back. And I think it's amazing, and I love it. I love the time that I grew up with, and I'm sure, like, a lot, hopefully, a lot of you that are listening, you enjoyed a lot of your childhood. And I'm not talking about the bad stuff, because everybody goes through bad things, but I'm talking about just that little time that you would go outside and play. You would just go roll around in the dirt. You go fill up the yard with water and just run through the mud and stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. And those are just the little things that made you happy as a kid. All the music, just sitting down in the cool, in the autumn time. I remember I would turn up the radio and I would listen to it, and I would just like be, oh man, this is some good music. But then again, I listen to a lot of like secular music, and then I listen to a lot of Christian music. And I remember my oldest cousin, he had a band. He had a band, and he started playing a lot of rock music and stuff like that. And they didn't like that in the churches too much. Back in the '80s, because they thought rock and roll was bad, and you were gonna go to hell and stuff like that. Which is not true. You just got to be careful of what you play and what kind of lyrics that you listen to and stuff like that. But in other words, like, just be careful what you listen to, or what you do inside the church, you know. But back to what I was saying is that I remember he went to our apartment, and he said, "Hey, I have this. I recorded this cassette for you, a cassette." And I was like, "All right." So I popped it in, and it was it started off with it had some rock music on it. I was like, "Oh man, sounds pretty cool." But this dude, he was singing. He had a lot of Christian lyrics. He was talking about God. He was talking about Jesus. He was talking about changing his life. And I think I was about maybe 12 years old. And I remember it was Russ Taff. It was Russ Taff, and it was that the songs that he came out was on his album called Metals. And oh man, I fell in love with that. And like I actually had that on my playlist, and I love listening to that music, and it just takes me back to when I was a kid and I was listening to this, and it just fills me with joy. Another thing, like before we close up, another thing that I see a lot is that we had a lot of respect. I remember when I was growing up, my generation have a lot of respect for our elders. Still to this day, I say, when I run into people, I like, yes sir, no sir, how are you doing? Give them a firm handshake, and just be nice to people and respect people, because that's what we were taught, by not only our parents, but our grandparents were still alive and stuff like that, and they would make sure, like, hey, you know what, you better do this and you better do that. Don't be showing out there. Don't be acting this. And I'm not saying that everybody's like good, and you have to be like showing respect for somebody that's putting you down. I'm not saying that, but for the most part, but overall, it's like you have to respect people. You have to respect your parents. I still have so much respect for my parents. My dad's gone now, but I, with my mom, with my uncles, and my aunts, I respect them so much, and I'm like, yes, tío, yes, tía, and that's the way we were taught. And if somebody smarts off to them in front, oh no, you're not. Yeah, you don't talk to my aunt, or you don't talk to my uncle like that. Yeah, you don't talk to my mom like that. And that's one thing I see with today's generation, that sometimes that they lose a lot of respect for their parents, for grandparents, for aunts and uncles. And I'm not saying like if they treat you like garbage, then hey, you know what? You still have to have some kind of respect, but I'm not telling you to take it. Just everybody's in their own situation and everybody handles things differently. But what I'm saying is that we had a lot of respect, and I still have a lot of respect. And I teach my kids, I teach my nieces and nephews. I'm like, you need to respect. You need respect. Don't be calling my brothers by their first name. You either you say uncle, or you say aunt, or tío or tía, to my sister-in-laws and stuff. You show respect, and that's it. You just show respect, and that's it. And that's one thing that I think that we're lacking in, but that our generation still holds on to a lot. So man, I know there's still a lot to talk about this generation and stuff like that, but I'm getting close on time, and I mean, basically I can make my own time. But anyways, I don't want to take up a lot of your time, because I don't want this to be boring to you. I don't want it to get boring, but I'm gonna close with that. I'm gonna go ahead and do business plugs now. So I got a couple of new people, to put their business out here, because I really respect, everybody that I'm gonna put their business out there. I respect these guys. I respect these businesses. A lot of times, like a lot of them, these guys, they're Christian guys, that they'll treat you good. They're not going to mess you around or anything like that. They're going to tell you straightforward, and they're real good people. First I'm going to start off with Tex American Floor Co. That's owned by Maurice Hernandez. Does any kind of flooring, laminate, uh, luxury vinyl plank, ceramic, backsplashes, BCT. He does residential and commercial. Give him a call at 254-226-1695. It's a Tex American Flooring Co. And that's out of Belton, Texas. Somebody else you can call is if you have any kind of projects, if you have any kind of like remodels, or you're just cleaning up your house and you don't have the time, or you don't have the equipment, or you just can't get out and go take all this stuff to the dump, load it up, and just take it, or nobody wants to help you. You can call my friend Patrick over there at Rollaway Junk. You can call him at 254 500 8600. Telling you, Patrick is a great guy. He will come up, he will conversate with you and he'll see what you got. And I'm telling you, he will take care of everything for you. He will load everything up. He will take it to the dump. You won't even have to like lift a finger. Call Patrick and he'll get that stuff cleaned up for you. Man, great guy. My friend over there at Abilene, Texas, Juan Manuel Perez, aka Charlie, Desert Smoke Barbecue. Man, I'm telling you, this guy, he can throw down with some sandwiches. He makes, oh man, he makes all this stuff. It's so awesome. So if you're ever in Abilene, he goes around and he makes little things here and there. Desert Smoke Barbecue. And one thing I seen on Facebook is that on September 16th, he's going to be out there at Sears Park in Abilene. He's going to have a little booth right there. He's going to be making burgers, some Philly cheesesteak, some tortas, some turkey legs, and some poppers. And if you're in Abilene on the 16th, go by and check out Desert Smoke Barbecue. Great guy. Another person is Luis Hernandez with Dyna Clean Services out of Temple, Texas. Lewis does carpet cleaning. He does restorations. He does deflooding. He does if you've had a small fire, he does like smoke restoration. He does all these things. He's they he gives them classes. He sends these guys to classes, so they go get certified through all these courses. Great guy. If you need any kind of carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, hard surface cleaning, give Lewis a call at Dyna Clean at 254-771-3402. And last but not least, I have my friend Jason Lopez out of Temple, Texas. Man, this guy is tremendous right here. I'll tell you what, I just don't even know where to start. Um, he's got Barbell County Fitness in Temple, Texas. And oh man, let me tell you, it's pretty amazing what he's been doing with his business. Oh man, the transformations that I see. He posts a lot of stuff on Facebook, and he like shows journeys of people. Man, it is like he will take his time to get you where you need to be. Barbell County Fitness in Temple, Jason Lopez at 254-217-1304. And when you go up there, you tell them that Ruben sent you from the you're listening to the folder. You tell him I sent you. And man, not only does this guy, transform your body into something healthy and things like that, but he transforms your spirit because man, this guy, it's all Christ centered at his gym. He gets things done. Not only will you get a new body, and he will transform your body into something healthy. He will help you transform your spirit, your soul, your mind, everything. It's totally awesome, and I really encourage you to go see Jason out here in Temple and see what he can do for you. Go talk to him. He's got a lot of different plans and things like that at his gym. So go out there and talk to him, and you're gonna see how he's gonna sit down and he's gonna give you all these plans and stuff like that. But the one good thing he's gonna give you is he's gonna give you plans on fitness, but he's also gonna give you plan of salvation. So man, go check him out. So if you have any kind of show ideas, if you have anything you want to talk about, go ahead and shoot me an email at thefolder.podcast76@gmail.com. That's thefolder.podcast76@gmail.com. Man, I really appreciate everybody listening to me. It's awesome. I can't wait to do the next episode. Next episode is going to be really cool. I'm going to get into some of that. I'm going to interview some of the about maybe four pastors, just to kind of get an idea of what's going on in the world today and things like that. And the title of next episode is going to be called "The Shepherds Part 1." Part 1, The Shepherds, Part 1. So I hope you tune in next time. And it's been a pleasure to just share some of my stuff with you. And I'm looking forward to next time. With that said, you keep it 80s. God bless. Thank you.